My name is David Carrick. I'm 64, and for the past 5 decades, I've lived in the same modest, sun-washed home in Santa Barbara, the one I built with my own hands, with my wife by my side, and my son growing up in its every corner. I'm not rich, not flashy, and definitely not the kind of father who hides trust funds or secrets. I was the kind who fixed bikes, paid off medical bills, and kept the same phone number since 1981. But somewhere along the way, the world and my son outgrew me. Graham married well, climbed fast, and somewhere in that climb, he started looking down on the man who raised him. For years, I felt it. The silent eye rolls, the decisions made without me, the empty chairs at holidays. Still, I never expected to become the burden, never thought I'd be told to pack up my life like a tenant and overstaying his lease. But I left quietly, and when I returned, I wasn't the one locked out. The sky was low and gray, bleeding into the pavement like it couldn't decide if it wanted to rain or vanish. I stared at the key in my palm. The house key, the last one I had. Graham's text still lit up my phone screen. "It's time you found your own place, Dad." I placed the key on the counter. Simple, quiet, like a man ending a sentence halfway through because no one's listening anymore. The garage door didn't creak when it shut behind me. That was the last sound of home. Cut. Santa Barbara's coastline stretched beside me like a postcard someone never mailed. My old Ford idled, the engine barely whispering. I parked near the dunes and sat for a while, the ocean wind crawling down the back of my collar. Then my phone buzzed. Confirmation. Account ending in R003 has been closed per request by Mr. Graham Whitlock. I didn't have an account ending in 003. My wife did. The one she opened under a trust. The one she said, just in case something ever happens to me, you'll be covered. That account was never mentioned to Graham. Never. Unless she told him. Or he found a way in. People think betrayal feels like a punch in the gut. It doesn't. It's colder than that. Like being submerged. Cut. I opened the duffel. Just clothes, an old photo, a paperback. And, between the pages, a weight I hadn't felt in years. USB drive, thin, black, unlabeled, buried in Chapter 14 of the Inheritance Games. Ironic, if someone had a sick sense of humor. I looked around. Just an empty beach and a rental SUV parked 2 rows over, windows too dark for Santa Barbara. I pressed the drive between my fingers. Cool plastic. But it might as well have been a grenade. Some things people leave behind by accident. Others they leave for a reason. A voice my wife used to say when things got hard. You can only be locked out of what you still try to get back in. I didn't want the house anymore. I wanted the truth. Back in the truck, I pushed the key into the ignition. From the mirror, a flicker. The SUV's headlights blinked. Once. Someone inside it started the engine. The locks weren't the only thing they changed. They rewrote my life. The public library smelled like dust and warm plastic. A row of computers blinked at me, half occupied by college kids and retirees checking sports scores. I picked one near the window. No cameras, no staff nearby. Still, I scanned the room twice before I sat down. The USB slid into the port like a secret no one should hear. Folder popped open, one file. For David only. Do not trust them. My chest tightened. I clicked password screen. I froze. Then typed the first name that ever mattered. Helen. Access granted. The video opened on static. Then a dimly lit room. My wife's handwriting flashed briefly across the screen on a sticky note taped to a folder. If anything happens, it was never an accident. A woman's voice came through. Elodie's. Clear. Confident. Cold. Once he's out, we move fast. Medical review, guardianship claim, asset consolidation. He won't see it coming. Another voice. Male. Graham. I just want it quiet. He's been through. Enough. And he won't remember any of this when the pills start working. So, yes, quiet. I couldn't breathe. You never really know how far someone's willing to go until they smile while doing it. A low beep interrupted the video. System alert. The cursor jumped. My fingers weren't moving. Another window popped open. Remote access initiated. I yanked the drive, but the screen didn't blink. Files vanishing, one by one. Click, click, gone. A flash of red text took over the screen. You should have stayed quiet, David. Cut. I shoved the chair back, grabbed my bag. No one in the library looked up. just the soft hum of air conditioning and fingers tapping keys. Outside, the daylight had dimmed, fog rolling in over the hills. A sedan idled across the street. Same one from the beach. I turned down the next block. Fast. Turned again, ducking behind a row of hedges near the community center. The sedan crept by. Didn't stop. Didn't need to. They already knew where I was. Gasps of thought raced through my mind. Medical review, guardianship. That was the end game. Not just my house, my body, my memory, my legal capacity. They're not trying to rob you, David. They're trying to erase you. That's what Helen used to say about power. The ones who smile in silence are always louder behind closed doors. I kept walking. Downtown was waking up. Tourists on bikes, a busker with a sax, a young couple kissing against a light pole. None of it real to me. Not now. I reached into my coat, fingers gripping the USB. Warm now, like it remembered what it held before it was scrubbed clean. Cut. Inside a diner on State Street, I asked for the payphone. Didn't use my cell. Couldn't. Wouldn't. I dialed a number I hadn't touched in 15 years. 3 rings. David. The voice cracked. Marion, I said, you were never supposed to call this number again. They found the drive. Silence. They know about the second will. Longer silence. Then, you need to get here. Now. And, for God's sake, don't trust anyone with a last name you recognize. Click. Back on the street. The payphone vibrated. No, not the phone. My pocket. I'd left it on silent. One message. Unknown number. The next time you plug that thing in, make sure you're alone. If you're not already. I turned slowly. Across the street, behind the tinted glass of a cafe window, a man in a dark coat raised his coffee cup, held it up. No smile. I blinked. He was gone. I walked faster. Didn't run. Running makes you pray. I took the long way to the motel. No one followed. Still, I placed a chair under the doorknob. Slept with one eye open. When I woke at 3 a.m., the TV turned itself on. Volume 0. Static. Then a woman's face. Brief. Distorted. Not Helen. Not Elodie. Raina. The woman Helen once said she trusted with everything that came before. If they're willing to erase me digitally, what's next? It smelled like rain and gasoline. Smoke still curled from the blackened rafters of Marion Reyes's home. Caution tape flapped in the wind like a warning from something bigger than the fire department. I stood across the street, holding my breath, watching a firefighter douse the last embers near the porch. She was gone. That's what they said. Gone. Like she never existed. No body found, no note, just charred timber and ash. The neighbor next door mumbled something about a freak gas leak. Freak. No such thing when there's a trust involved and secrets wrapped in fire. I crossed the street. The cop in front looked young, too clean to have seen death, but his voice carried weight. You shouldn't be here, sir. She was my wife's best friend. He blinked. Then I'm sorry for your loss. I leaned in. She ever mention a file? Something about a will? He stiffened. I'm not at liberty. I'm not asking for liberty. I'm asking for the truth. His eyes flicked sideways. Distraction. He's not alone. I nodded, backed away. Cut. Backyard. Gate unlocked. I slipped behind the ruined house. Charred garden hose. Burned out shed. Then I saw it. The statue. Helen once told me Marion had a hollow garden angel where she hid spare keys and truths too ugly for paper. I twisted the head off. Nothing. Kneeled. Under the statue, buried in damp dirt. A silver locket. My breath stopped. Helen's. Worn chain. Scratched. Inside a micro SD card wrapped in wax paper. I tucked it into my sock just as a crunch echoed behind me. Boots, 2 sets, not police. I bolted for the fence, jumped, scraped my palm on the top rail, hit the alley hard, didn't look back. You don't look back when the fire didn't finish the job. Cut. A gas station restroom 3 miles away. I locked the door and jammed the handle with my elbow, pulled out the SD card, slipped it into the old burner phone I hadn't used since Helen died. One folder, RC Original Final. No passwords, just scans. Pages and pages of a second will. Helen's handwriting. Date stamped. Notarized. My name. And another. Raina C. Not Graham. Not Elodie. My breath shook. Raina. The woman Helen whispered about once, years ago. like she was both guardian and ghost. I heard something, a cough. I killed the light, held my breath. Outside the door, a shadow passed, paused, then moved on. Back in the truck, I read fast. Clause 17. If David is incapacitated or deceased, the remainder of assets, properties, and inheritance shall go to Reina Calderon. Clause 18. Graham Whitlock is explicitly disinherited in the event of undue influence. Cut. Motel. Door locked. Curtains shut. I printed 2 copies of the will at a 24-hour print shop 5 blocks south. Paid cash. No questions. When I stepped back into the room, the chair I'd wedged under the knob was lying on the floor. I drew the gun I hadn't touched since Helen passed. Not registered, not clean, but real. The room was empty, bed untouched, but the bathroom mirror was fogged. Someone had been inside. I walked to it, breathing hard. 4 words were scrawled into the steam. "You're not done yet." Phone buzzed. Block number I answered. Female voice, calm, dry. "If you're reading this, you found it. Who is this?" "You know." "Reina." Silence. Then, "Don't trust anyone. They've already cleaned Marion. They'll come for you next." Why now? Because Graham's no longer following orders. He's giving them. Click. I stood still. Inhale. Exhale. The walls around me didn't feel like walls anymore. Just paper-thin silence. Marion died for this. Helen planned for this. And Reina. She was still out there. Someone else was part of her plan. And they're still alive. The diner sat like a dying lung in the corner of Salinas. Neon flickered. The coffee tasted like burnt regret. I waited. 3rd booth from the window. Back to the wall. No shadows behind me. The bell above the door jingled. She walked in like she already knew where I was. No hesitation. Black coat too big for her frame. Eyes that scanned the room but never settled. Reina Calderon, alive, and walking straight toward me. "You should have stayed in the dark," she said, sliding into the booth. I leaned in. "So should you." We didn't shake hands. Didn't need to. Cut. Steam rose between us. Coffee. Fear. Old memories that hadn't aged well. Reina dropped a small zip bag on the table. Inside, a phone, an ID badge, and a worn key with a tag. R.W. Legal Trust, Vault 3A. "I kept it quiet," she said. "Helen's original file is still in the vault. The one no one logged. The one that could bury them. You think they don't know that?" "They do. That's why Marion burned." I flinched. She watched my reaction like a surgeon watches a pulse. "The problem with secrets is," Reina said, "once they stop being secrets, they become evidence." Cut. Night fell like a curtain dropping too fast. Reina drove. I didn't ask where she got the car. The plates were clean. The silence between us was not. The vault was in Monterey, buried in the basement of Riggs and Waller, a firm Helen had trusted until she didn't. We parked in the alley, back entrance. Reina had a fob key and a code. The keypad blinked green. We slipped inside. No alarms. Too quiet. The elevator clicked, descended. Metal doors opened into cold stone and flickering fluorescence. My heart pounded. "If something happens to me," Reina said, "you finish what we started. You sound like her." She sounded like me first. We reached Vault 3A. Reina unlocked the panel. Metal clicked back. The vault door swung open. Stacks of file. Boxes. Labeled, dusted, untouched. 2 untouched. She moved fast. 2nd row. 3rd shelf. Box 47. Inside, a sealed envelope. Red wax. Helen's signature across the fold. She handed it to me. "This is the last version. The one no one knows exists. Graham thinks he scrubbed everything. But this..." "He forgot one thing," Reina said. "What?" "That Helen never trusted paper." I peeled the wax. Inside, a handwritten letter. To me. "David, if you're reading this, I didn't get to finish the fight, but you still can. What they're after isn't just the house. It's the archive. Reina knows where. Trust her, just not all at once. Love you. H." I read it again. My hands shook. Then I heard it. A beep. Soft. Mechanical. Reina froze. She turned, looked up. Red light blinking above the vault. Sensor. Too late. Vault door slammed shut. A hiss. Gas. Sweet. Sharp. We scrambled. Air thickened. I punched the wall. Nothing. No buttons. No override. Raina hit the side panel. Sparks flew. No give. We're locked in. I stumbled back. Gasped. My throat burned. What is it? I choked. Not lethal. Psychedelic. Confusion gas. Why? To make it look like you cracked. They want to discredit me. They want to erase you. Time blurred. Walls bent. Helen's voice echoed in my head. Sometimes they don't kill the truth. They just drug it until no one believes it. Raina collapsed near the far wall. She dropped the key to the vault, rolled toward me. I crawled, snatched it. No keyhole. Then I saw it, a hidden panel behind the lower shelf. Scanner pad. I pressed the key card from the bag. Nothing. Pressed again. Green flash. Door clicked. I shoved it open. Smoke poured out. We dragged each other into the hallway, coughing. Then I heard the click. Cameras. 2 of them. Watching. Recording. Broadcasting. And somewhere, someone was smiling. If we die here, they win history, not just the house. We didn't run. Running would have made it look like guilt. We walked out of Riggs and Waller like 2 people who belonged there. Slow, coughing, eyes red, clothes rumpled enough to pass for stress, not escape. The night swallowed us whole. Cut. The alley smelled like oil and old rain. Raina leaned against the brick wall, hands on her knees, breathing in sharp bursts. I watched the street. No sirens, no shouting. Just a black sedan idling half a block down, engine purring like it knew our names. They let us out, I said. Raina nodded. They wanted the footage. What footage? She didn't answer. She was shaking now, not fear. Adrenaline crashing. I remembered something Helen used to say when a deal felt too easy. If the door opens by itself, someone wants you to walk through. Cut. We ditched the car 3 streets over and cut through a construction site. Dust, rebar, shadows like broken teeth. My lungs still burned from the gas. My thoughts came in. Waves, clear, then smeared. Raina handed me a bottle of water. Sip, don't chug. I'm fine. That's the gas talking. She was right. I wasn't fine. I was floating, just enough to miss details. Just enough to say something wrong on camera. Just enough to look unstable. Cut. A motel by the freeway. Flickering sign, cash only. Inside the room, Raina locked the door, bolted it, then pulled the curtain so tight the streetlight disappeared. She set the envelope on the bed. Helen's final letter. The real one. Read it, Raina said. Out loud. I did. Halfway through, my phone buzzed. Unknown number. I ignored it. Buzzed again. Then the TV turned on by itself. Volume up. My face filled the screen. Grainy. Night vision green. Vault footage. Me stumbling, slurring, yelling Raina's name. Then a cut. A close-up of my eyes, wide, unfocused. A voiceover. Graham. Calm. Controlled. Familiar. I tried to help him. We all did. But grief does things to people. He's been confused since Mom passed. Raina lunged for the TV. Too late. Another clip. Me coughing, gasping, dropping to my knees. A caption crawled across the bottom. Local man with history of stress-related episodes questioned after break-in attempt. My chest tightened. They're building the story, I said. They already built it, Raina replied. This is just distribution. Cut. My phone rang again. This time I answered. Dad. Graham's voice was soft, almost kind. You shouldn't be doing this. You set me up, I said. A pause. Then, I gave you a chance to leave quietly. So you drugged me. You wandered into a restricted area. There are protocols, reports, mandatory evaluations. Guardianship, I said. Another pause. That depends on how cooperative you are. I laughed. It came out wrong. Too loud. I remembered another thing Helen used to say. Power never raises its voice. It waits for you to whisper. Cut. Raina pulled out her phone. Burner. New. She tapped twice. A file opened. Before Marion died, she said, she sent this to a federal contact. Safekeeping. What is it? Insurance. She turned the screen toward me. A video. Elodie. Different angle, different room. No polish. No smile. Once David is declared unfit, the assets revert cleanly. The company stays hidden. No probate noise. No press. A man off camera asked, And Graham? Elodie shrugged. He thinks he's in control. I felt something crack in my chest. My son wasn't the architect. He was the front man. Cut. A knock at the door. 3 sharp raps. Raina froze. I drew the gun. Hands steady now. Clear. Another knock. Mr. Carrick? A man's voice. Polite. Professional. We need to ask you a few questions. Raina mouthed. Don't. I opened the door. 2 men. Plain clothes. Badges out. Real. Mr. Carrick, the taller. One said, We've received a report expressing concern about your mental state. From who? Your family. He glanced past me. May we come in? I stepped aside. That was the mistake. Cut. Handcuffs clicked. Cold. Tight. Raina shouted. One agent blocked her path. This is a wellness check, the other said. Temporary hold. I caught my reflection in the mirror across the room. Bloodshot eyes, pale skin, a man who looked exactly like the footage. They led me down the hall. The world tilted. The gas again. Or panic. Doesn't matter. They got what they needed. As they pushed me into the back of the car, my phone buzzed one last time. A message from Graham. I'm sorry it had to be this way. The door slammed. Darkness. If we die here, they win history, not just the house. Then everything went white. White. Too white. I blinked against the sterile ceiling, fluorescent buzz in my ears, the smell of bleach, the hum of machines, hospital, the kind with locked doors and no clocks. Someone had undressed me, clipped a band around my wrist. David Carrick, 64, under observation, 5150, hold. My pulse kicked, voices outside, shoes squeaking. I sat up. Easy, said a voice from the door. Graham, suit sharp, smile rehearsed. I didn't answer. He stepped inside like he owned the place. Maybe he did. You need rest, Dad. I said nothing. You've been confused, frightened. Raina's a manipulator. She pulled you into things you didn't understand. I laughed once low. You ever ask yourself who taught me not to believe everything I hear? He tensed. We're going to take care of you, he said. I bet. Cut. Outside the room, 2 guards. Not hospital staff, private security. Raina wasn't here. The will wasn't here. Only me. Alone. On paper, I was nothing but a confused old man with a recorded breakdown and no home address. But paper burns. Data survives. And so do people with nothing left to lose. I waited. Hours blurred. Then came the nurse. She was new. Young. Eyes nervous. She slipped a note into my palm during a blood pressure check. South Wing. Room 211. Midnight. Gone before I looked up. Cut. Midnight. Footsteps light. I walked barefoot down cold tile. Room 211 was dark. Inside, Raina. Eyes bruised. Shirt torn at the shoulder, but alive. I knew they'd bring you here, she whispered. She pulled out her phone. The file went public 3 hours ago. What file? Everything. The second will. The videos. Elodie's statement. Graham's voice. The guardianship docs. All of it. I stared. They tried to bury you, she said, but the dirt wouldn't hold. Cut. 3 days later. Press conference on every screen. Federal agents flanked a podium. Charges announced. Conspiracy, fraud, attempted involuntary commitment, destruction of evidence. A freeze frame of Elodie walking into custody. Graham behind her. Cuffed. Pale. No suit. No smile. The courtroom would be brutal, but the public had decided first. You can't spin a headline when the receipts are digital. Cut. I stood outside my old house. The locks had been changed again, but this time by the state. Title reverted. Illegal transfers nullified. A locksmith finished screwing in a new deadbolt. He turned. You, Mr. Carrick? I nodded. He handed me the keys. Welcome home, sir. The sun hit the porch just like it used to. Same paint. Same creak in the third step. Inside, the air smelled like wood and time. I walked through the rooms. No furniture, no photos. But walls remember what people forget. The ocean looked the same that evening. I sat on the back porch and watched the waves eat the horizon. Raina joined me. 2 cups of coffee. Black. She handed me one. What now? She asked. I smiled. I rebuild. She sipped. Some things aren't meant to be put back the same. I don't want the same. Pause. She turned. What do you want? I looked out at the water. At peace. Silence. Then I said, funny thing about locks. You can change them as many times as you want. But if someone helped build the door, they still know how to get in. Some stories aren't about justice. They're about memory and survival, and knowing that even when blood turns cold, you don't have to freeze with it. Helen once said, "People will try to write your ending for you. Make sure your pen outlives theirs." She was right, and tonight, the pen was mine.